Welcome to this bite-sized episode of the Payroll Podcast with me, your host, Nick Day. These are short snippets from my main podcast show, which is the go-to source for all things related to payroll. Featuring experts from the world of payroll, these bite-sized episodes are going to share key insights, nuggets of information, tips, and best practices to help you navigate the complex world of payroll. And remember, if you ever need support recruiting talent for your payroll team, please do get in touch with either myself or my team at jgarecruitment.com. For now, sit back, tune in, and let's talk payroll. Do you think that the pandemic and technology and all these things have kind of collaborated together now to, for the first time, outside looking in from investors, from entrepreneurs, from C-suite level individuals, are they now looking at the function of payroll differently? Have they now starting to appreciate that actually payroll has a real strategic, it's a real strategic asset, has a much more important part to play than just paying employees as it used to be seen, and therefore companies are looking to invest. People like yourself, and let's be honest, with your expertise, you could have probably picked a different business, a different sector to work in and to focus on. But you've chosen payroll here, and not many have done that. But actually, the market opportunities, as you're experiencing, are huge. So I'd love to know, from your point of view, how you've seen that market shift in both in terms of thoughts and process, and in terms of going from a manual to strategic, really.
When there's a will, there's a way. And I believe that the will came from need, right? A bit upstream to that idiomatic expression. Because up until now, you always had options, right? You were like, oh, I'm either going to employ locally.
Yeah.
And maybe I can pay the best rates or hire the best people, or even have a smaller team just because it's expensive. Or I'm going to hire maybe one contractor here and there to cope with all the things that I need to do. But as the pandemic and this trend that has been, piling up for almost 20 years now on remote work and distributed work kept pushing, now all of a sudden employers have no alternative than to just accept that there's a new reality, that if they don't do it, they're leaving money on the table. They're not hiring the best people. They're not targeting the best business. And that is a need, because now companies were facing and situating themselves between a rock and a hard place, which is, I need to go remote, I need to go global, but I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
Who can help? Like global payroll can help. The theme behind just the payroll aspect of things, because local payroll used to be perceived as, well, it's just the folks that do the math at the end of the month, or that calculate whatever government says that it needs to be calculated and make those deductions. And then the focus is on that. Like, okay, but now this is a massive important thing that I have here. Why is it the way it is? And how can I do it better or more distributed? And then people realize, oh, we, hyper normalized payroll, because it's been centuries since it's literally very similar processes. And now we realize we're decades behind. It's still the major lever here.
Yeah, it must be hugely exciting. I mean, I'm always trying to champion the profession. It can be such an exciting profession because, especially now technology is involved, it does take a little bit of HR's involved, a little bit of finance. You've got, as you said, the mathematical side. There's now the client-facing side of it, and tech's now really immersing itself in the industry. The one thing that, for the listeners listening out there, listening to this now, that really appealed to me to approach Marcelo to ask him to be part of the show today is I read a headline that said that Remote successfully managed to, through their Series C funding round, over $300 million. And for me, it was a real signal of intent that proved the importance of payroll is really starting to be recognized. I don't think we'd have seen a headline like that 10 years ago. I just don't think it was in people's consciousness to think of investing in payroll and payroll technology in the same way. Has it surprised you? Or maybe not. Maybe you always knew you'd get that kind of level of investment. But have there been any surprises along the way during this growth phase?
So we knew when you're solving a really big problem, really big pain, there's, of course, a very big business behind it. Now, the thing that I would not be able to say or assume or predict even is how fast it would grow. Right? I knew, when we started this, that I remember vividly having this, FaceTime call with my co-founder and saying, this is super exciting. This is massive. Are we both sure we want to tackle. Not that we could, we knew we could, but that we want to tackle because it's going to be massive. And I said, like, when did we ever say no to a challenge? And that was it. And then we started remote. Before the end of 2019, we already had way more customers that we could serve. Way more. I remember there was a period where we had more than 2 months of backlogged sales calls. Wow. People would get in my DMs to ask for like, oh, I'm just getting an appointment for 2 months and from now. Can I don't know, talk to someone like in a few weeks maybe? And because we couldn't hire salespeople fast enough, we had all this demand all of a sudden. And then COVID hit. So it felt more like, surfing a big wave. To us, time wasn't the only thing, like the speed of scale was the only thing that hit us so fast. Very happy for it, but it does make you grow up a lot faster.
I hope you enjoyed today's bite-sized edition of the Payroll Podcast. Remember to subscribe to the show, share it with your payroll colleagues and friends, and why not also check out some of our previous episodes for more golden nuggets of payroll information that you never know, they may just help you along in your own payroll journey. But for now, I'm Nick Day, and you've been listening to the Payroll Podcast Bite-Sized.